President Trump wants his legislative agenda done by Independence Day. Missouri Congressman Eric Burlison will bring us inside the negotiations happening on Capitol Hill to secure the border and cut taxes without drowning America in debt. The terrorist attack in Boulder, Colorado continues to torment the Jewish community in America. There's new evidence coming out about the assailant. Mike Benz joins us to break it down. The Supreme Court has disappointed gun owners, and America's children are on the fat shot way more than you think. All next on the Matt Gaetz Show. Let's do this. We're shaking up Washington, D.C. We're breaking the fever.
You ever watch this guy on television? It's like a machine. He's great. Matt Gaetz.
The One Big Beautiful Bill Act, President Trump's sweeping tax and spending proposal, narrowly passed the House of Representatives on May 22nd with a 215 to 214 vote. The Senate is now reviewing the bill, aiming for a vote by July 4th, though internal Republican divisions may delay this timeline. No Democrats, I stress that, no Democrats are expected to vote for this bill in the Senate. None voted for it in the House. Several Republican senators have expressed reservations. That impacts the bill's chances of passage. Here's what Senator Rand Paul had to say on Face the Nation.
You take the debt ceiling off the bill, in all likelihood, I can vote for what the agreement is on the rest of the bill, and it doesn't have to be perfect to my liking, but I can't be. If I vote for the $5 trillion debt, who's left in Washington that cares about the debt? We will have lost. The GOP will own the debt once they vote for this.
Who does still care about the debt in Washington? President Trump responded on Truth Social today saying, quote, Rand Paul has very little understanding of the BBB, especially the tremendous growth that is coming. He loves voting no on everything. He thinks it's good politics, but it's not. The big, beautiful bill is a big winner. Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson, one of President Trump's top allies, is demanding deeper cuts too. He warned that the bill could explode the deficit. Today, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said Senators Johnson and Paul are blatantly wrong.
It's not news that they disagree with this president on policy, and the president has vocally called them out for it and for their not having their facts together. I would add the Congressional Budget Office has been historically wrong. In fact, they predicted the Trump tax cuts from the president's first term in 2017. Their prediction was wrong by $500 billion.
Caroline Leavitt is right as to those growth projections being off with the Congressional Budget Office. Now, Senators Mike Lee and Rick Scott, both of whom we hold in the highest regard, are also pushing for more deficit reduction measures in this bill. So you've got Paul, Johnson, Lee, and Rick Scott. Those are the senators who want the bill to spend less. But there's also a batch of Republicans who want to spend more than the House bill in some key areas. Alaska's Lisa Murkowski, Maine's Susan Collins, and Missouri's Josh Hawley have expressed concern over any Medicaid cuts. We actually don't think the Medicaid cuts are deep enough in the bill. Is a work requirement even a cut? Like, think about that. We have a group of people fighting to get more work requirements into social welfare programs, and then other people are saying, well, if you're required to work, that's a cut in benefits. I don't believe that's a cut in benefits. I think that's actually an enhancement to the benefit of work and what it could do for someone's self-determination and physical and mental health. Lisa McClain is the House Republican Conference chairwoman. It's the number 3 position in the House. She did a good job laying out how things would change for the worse if Republicans don't pass anything.
That is, if we didn't pass this one big, beautiful bill, the average Michigander would see their taxes increase by $2,400 a year. 700,000 just Michigan small businesses would see their tax rates increase to 43%, and over 1 million Michigan families would see their child tax credits get cut in half.
So will President Trump get a bill to sign by July 4th, and will it cut spending enough while also cutting taxes and funding key priorities? Joining us now, Missouri Republican Congressman and a key member of the House Oversight Committee, Eric Burlison. Congressman, bring us inside these negotiations. Do you think President Trump's going to get his bill by Independence Day?
I do. I think that it's too important that we don't shut down the government, that we are able to, raise the debt ceiling. As much as I hate to say that, we don't want to give that control and that power over to Chuck Schumer. In something outside of reconciliation, because he's going to extract a pound of flesh from Donald Trump in order to make that happen. And so I do think that motivation alone is going to bring this bill to a vote, probably before August.
Do you think it has the votes today in the Senate?
Probably not, but we'll see. Because, look, I mean, you've seen how this works firsthand. The Senate is posturing pretty strongly, but we'll see exactly who's actually going to be willing to fight through. I mean, Freedom Caucus members, myself, we fought tooth and nail to get this thing from a, piddly $4 billion, appropriations cut in mandatory spending to a 1.5, close to $2 trillion over a 10-year period. And while it's peanuts and it's not as much as I would have cut, or probably you would have cut, the best way to describe it is like, look, we've got a lot of wins in this. We're fixing the border, finally funding the border wall. We're cutting the Green New Deal significantly back. There's a lot of, we're defunding Planned Parenthood. How can you vote against some of these basic, fundamental base hits, if you will? It's not a home run, but at least we got somewhere.
Elon Musk disagrees with you. He posted on X today, quote, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it." Elon was a little more vocal now than when he was there with you in Washington, D.C. What would you say to dissuade those who think he has a point?
I'm in the same camp as Elon. I wanted to get more. I'm disappointed that we weren't able to make more cuts. But my question is, where was Elon when all the pressure was building and we were clearly at the precipice of getting to the point where this bill had to be passed and moved out of the House? It would have been wonderful to have had, Elon chime in. That would have given myself and a lot of the fiscal hawks a lot more leverage to be able to get more out of the bill. But it is where it is, and I think that at least this can move some of the senators, at least give them some courage to hold the line and demand more spending cuts.
Should they? I mean, do you think this bill should just be taken up and passed? Or do you stand with the people you normally work with on a lot of issues like Mike Lee and Rick Scott, Rand Paul, people who are saying that maybe there are some adjustments downward in the spending and send the bill back to the House?
Yeah, no, absolutely. If I was Mike Lee and I'm rooting those guys on, look, you know how this works. You get different bites at the apple, and we've been able to take some of these wins. And now if I had another chance, if I was in the Senate, I would try to do even more, try to take the wins that have been, given, and then add more spending cuts to it, hopefully make the bill better. And if I were them, I would be fighting like hell, like we did in Freedom Caucus and Fiscal Hawks in the House.
Those are the fiscal hawks flying together in formation. But on the other side, it's your fellow Missourian, Josh Hawley, who is actually saying that the cuts in Medicaid are potentially too deep for him. You cited savings throughout the 10-year window in the bill. A lot of the savings you're referencing comes from work requirements in Medicaid. You've said on my program before you support work requirements in Medicaid. Do you think Senator Hawley is viewing Medicaid work requirements as a cut to Medicaid?
Yeah, I don't know, and I'm not going to speak for Senator Hawley, but I'll speak from my view, which is that I think it's malpractice to ignore the waste, fraud, and abuse that's happening in Medicaid. And I think that we're not doing our constituents any service to try to empower able-bodied young working-age men. Right now, 20% of the population of young working-age men have checked out of the workforce, and we're covering their health insurance. That's not what Medicaid was ever intended to be for. It's not a cut to a program that was originally intended for the disabled, the aged, and the blind. We're right-sizing it to the way it was before COVID happened. And I think that when you talk in those terms, the American people are with you, and I think it's the right thing to do. I don't make my decisions and vote based on what's popular. I make my decisions based on what's right.
Yeah, and what I'm trying to understand is whether or not in these negotiations on Capitol Hill, Senator Hawley is taking the position that those work requirements, those reductions in Medicaid are untenable, because as I read the House bill, and I sincerely invite you to correct me on this, there's no other real reduction in the Medicaid program other than the work requirements, is there?
Yeah, no, there's not. I mean,
Okay.
some of the references that he's been making have been about the provider tax. Ironically, I would have loved to have reduced the provider tax, but we weren't able to get that into the bill. So I don't know what he's referring to in that regard.
No, it seems like you've got the Hawley, Murkowski, Collins group on one side, worried about some of the cuts. You've got the Lee, Rick Scott group on the other side, trying to get more cuts. And I know you always want cuts as deep as any of your Republican colleagues are willing to take, and we appreciate you for that. Missouri Congressman Eric Burlison, thanks so much for coming on the program and bringing us inside Capitol Hill.
Thank you, Matt.